Hey, it's your boy Visuals here. Thank you for joining my YouTube channel. Cannot wait to talk you through and walk you through my steps for retouching. So let's get started. First, we zooming in, and we're looking at getting rid of all the blemishes, the tiny little blemishes that typically sit on the model's face. We're talking about blackheads, we're talking about spots, we're talking about loose strands of hair. There's so many different things that you can pick up on your images, and it could be even details from, dust from your camera lens as well. So make sure your camera lens is nice and clean. But as you can see, we're zooming in, we're just looking at the ones that really stand out. Because when you do like your dodge and burn or your what do you call it, frequency separation, these things are not going to be rectified in a simplistic way. So what I'm really trying to do here is just focus on the minor details. You gotta understand, see how I'm zooming in and out, because what I'm doing is when I'm taking away some of the blemishes, I'm making sure that it still looks authentic. We don't want to remove all the detail. We want to remove the minor details, the things that stand out, the things that really causes those really harsh flares. Or say flares, what shall we describe it? Like harsh light on the skin, and those tend to be either the pores or dust, blemishes, and so forth. So don't forget to zoom in, zoom out, take a different look, switch angles, turn upside down, to the side. This is what I do when it comes to retouching, because it allows me to have a different vantage point each time. So that's really important. Keep zooming in, zooming out, changing the angles, and trying to find those little details that really stand out. Okay, when you've got rid of most of your blemishes, you want to go to filters and you want to choose frequency separation. Okay, and that's what that does. It will separate the color from the detail, or should I say vice versa, the detail from the color. So the high frequency is your detail and the low frequency is your color. And what you're doing is you're going to create a layer in between so that you will only affect the low frequency, which is the color. And what I'll do is I will create a separate YouTube video tutorial to explain frequency separation for those who don't understand it, or for those who have never used it before. Okay, so with the lasso tool, I'm literally using the layer in between the high frequency and the low frequency, and I'm selecting darker patches of the skin, and literally I'm just dragging it to an area that I want it to kind of copy, and understand that it's not affecting the detail, it's only affecting the color. So the dark patches, what we're doing is we're selecting it and we're quickly dragging it to an area that we want it to be, so it just provides a really smooth transition. And just a correction, I don't mean lasso tool, because lasso tool's more Photoshop terminology, but we'll talk about the patch tool because we're editing in Affinity Photo. But like I said, you're focusing on those patches, you're trying to get those details. Look at how I've taken away even the dark areas around, dark and light areas around the spots. And you do this, you take your time doing it, you look, and as I said before, zoom in, zoom out, change angles, and just take your time. It is such a beautiful process. I do actually like doing it. It's quite therapeutic. So, have some music on in the background, get yourself comfortable. If you have a podcast to listen to, that's what I do. I listen to podcasts. A really good one is Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. Again, listen to whatever you prefer, but take this time to really just taking the art of retouching and just absorb yourself in it. And understand, you don't want to remove every single blemish. Well, maybe not blemish is what I'm talking about, but the pores, the details, because what makes us human is detail, and you don't want to take every single blemish away. Then it starts to look kind of like AI, and unless you're looking for that type of look, my work's very much about keeping the authenticity of the human, of the person I'm photographing, and I like to see a few bits of blemishes here and there because it makes us human, right? No one's perfect. And also understand that it's always good to take some time away from your images, or to stop and just have a look. The reasons why, you just want to take a fresh look at your image before you continue to retouch. So if you're retouching for 45 minutes, an hour or so, take a break, come back to it, and then sleep on it. Literally have it, go to bed and wake up in the morning and have a fresh take, because sometimes we see things and we are deceived that something, I don't know about if it's just me, but as many times I've had a late night and I've been editing a lot, and I'm thinking it's brilliant, oh, it looks so amazing, and then in the morning I wake up and I'm like, what on earth is that? And that's because you're just really so focused on it, you haven't had time to step back and look at what you have done. And this is why I zoom in, zoom out. Again, I emphasize zooming in, zooming out, because you can see what you're doing from a microscopic level, and then also from the overall scale. It's important that we keep doing it. It just keeps our eyes fresh, it keeps our minds fresh, and it keeps us focused. And here, again, you can see I'm just removing the dust, the speckles of dust, which I should have done at the very beginning. However, I'm doing it at this point in time because obviously this is just a tutorial. We're not really focusing on the clothes per se. It should be your skin. Now, if you are happy, then we're going to move on to the curves layer. And what I'm doing is creating a dodge layer, which is non-destructible, which is using my curves layer. I've got one already made, so I select it. You can see that the curve layer has a lovely curvature that brings a little light in, and then I invert it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my brush tool. I'm going to place it to white because white reveals, black hides, and I'm going to set my brush at 1%. You can do 1%, 2%, or 3%, depending on how much you like to apply. I'm very, very delicate in regards to how much light I want to affect. And then I'm going to start painting on the layer, and finding the skin which has dark patches. And you just take your time. Once again, like I said, just relax, take your time. It does take a while to get through this. Obviously, I've done this video within 35 minutes or so. So you're getting a very quick way of doing it. And really, Athena's face, that's the model. Her skin is really clear already, and there's not much work to be done on it. She takes good care of her skin, and that's very helpful for a photographer like me who likes to also engage in the retouching. So just take your time, look at the blemishes, look at the areas you want to affect. Make sure it has that lovely blend. It's got a blend in, so as you're doing the dodge process, you really want to blend that skin. So I understand the dodge is bringing brightness to those areas, and obviously the burn is darkening those areas. But like I said, we're using a curve tool, so it's non-destructive, so that we can affect at any point in time, and I can use a curve tool to manipulate, etc. So as I said before, turn your canvas, have a look at different angles, because that is absolutely vital. I've been using this process for a long time. Sometimes I flip it upside down and I look at it from a different perspective, because you want a smooth transition, and that is what's really key. You want everything to be smooth, that the light and the darkness and the midtones, the light, the dark and the midtones just through, it's something like flowetry. It just floetically blends, and that is key to skin retouching too. The dark patches under the eyes I take my time with, because you don't want it to look flat. You still want to have curve, because the reality is an eyeball. An eyeball is a curved shape, right? So you want to take your time and make sure you do that properly. No one has flat eye or flat surface to the eye. So everything, like I said, with that whole blending from light to darkness, you want to take your time and make sure that it still looks authentic. Unless, again, you want that AI look, you want that cyborg look, that almost too perfect for it to be human look, then do it your way. But this is the process that I use, and this is what effectively has booked me a lot of clients. Now, around the bridge of the nose, the forehead that leads between that, directly between the eyebrows, I tend to dodge and burn this as well, just to, again, the cranium, the skull is a curvature, unless you've got a flat head, but cranium has a curve and a dip that comes between the eyebrows down to the bridge of the nose. So I effectively try to work those using dodge and burn. And also with the foreheads, again, we're talking about a circular shape for Athena right here. There's no lumps or dents, but even if they did, you still can use this process to alleviate or to correct that if the client actually wants that. Again, depending on how authentic they want their photos. But this is Athena. She's a model. She has no any dents in the skull. However, we're still working with the patches of different colors, skin tone, and maybe minor blemishes that she has. And so using this dodge and burn process, well, really, I don't even touch burn. The reality is I don't actually use burn. I actually just use dodge, because I find that the way I shoot my the way I approach my photo shoots is that I try and shoot everything like a step darker, because I like that kind of moody portraits. So when it comes to the editing, because I've shot it to basically get as perfect as I can, when it comes to the retouching process, it's a lot easier. All I need to do is just use the dodge tool, or should I say the curves tool, to create that effect, because effectively I've already shot for the shadows using like a fast shutter speed, a high sync speed, with my strobe. So another tip, make sure that when you're having your photo shoot, make sure you shoot as perfect as possible. You don't want to bring a difficult image into post-production. Learn how to shoot, learn how to shoot with your camera, learn about lighting, get that right, so that when you bring it into the post-production side of it, when it comes to the retouching, it's a lot easier to manage. You ain't having to spend hours and hours correcting something that you could have corrected, or you could have perfected in the field. So that's another tip. See, I told you, I'm just putting these fillers at the moment because at the end of the day, you're gonna be watching me just retouching and literally just doing the dodge. It can be a very long process, especially if the client doesn't have great skin. But you take your time, you have to enjoy the process, and the more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you will become, and you'll start to develop your own style. So look for those key areas or that you need to manipulate in order for it to just have that smooth, authentic look again. I love this process. Like I said, in fact, it'll be great to know what kind of things do you do when you're retouching. What kind of things do you like to do when you're retouching? Do you watch a movie? Do you listen to a podcast? If so, then leave me a message in the chat. Let me know what you like doing. What do you like doing during a retouching process? Do you listen to music? What kind of music? Who you listen to? If you have any audiobooks that you're listening to, or any podcasts that you listen to, drop them in the chat. Let me know. I always love to listen to new things. And whilst I'm retouching, like I said, it's the most therapeutic process that I love engaging in. I love doing, because I know that I'm doing something that I love. That's the thing. Photography is something that I love. Retouching is something that I love, and it doesn't feel like work. And also, every now and then, I will go to my layers and I will turn on and off the curves tool, just to see the differences around that area that I'm actually manipulating. It just gives you a sense of achievement, and also just shows you the results of what dodge and burn can do. So you can actually analyze it and see if you've overdone it, if you've overcooked it, just gone too far with the edit. And if that's the case, then you can always go back. That's the beauty of the curves tool. You can always go back, you can adjust it, rather than affecting any of the pixel layers. So bear in mind that the curves tool is the best way, I believe, to do the dodge and burn. But yeah, always click on and off and just to see the results. Okay, so when we're talking about, shaping the nose, etc., I don't try to overdo it, because again, I'm really authentic when it comes to my portraits. But what I do is I try and blend the dark patches that's there, trying to emphasize the nose bridge as well, so that it gives a lovely structure to it. As you can see, again, I'm zoom in, zoom out, and just all those key features like the chin as well, around those dark patches around the chin. As you can see, that's probably coming from some kind of shadow from Athena's fingers or so. But also, zooming in, just seeing those patches, seeing those transitions, trying to make it as smooth as possible. Again, look out, come out, zoom back in, look around, and just try and focus. I'm not the type of person that will go and highlight everything, as some retouchers will do. They'll circle all the patches. I kind of just go straight into it, and I just have a feel for what I'm trying to achieve. Because like I said, the curves tool is non-destructible, so non-destructive. So you're able to, just rectify everything. And, when you've been in the studio with the model or the client, you've had a sense of, or a feeling of who that person is. So when you're retouching it becomes natural. It's almost like you're recreating the character that you met in the studio, and that's the beauty of it. As you can see, I've accidentally selected the skin color. Be very careful of that as well, because your dodge and burn, or your dodge in this case, won't be effective because it has to be white. Okay, So as you can see, again, trying to manipulate those dark patches, trying to give like a lovely kind of smooth tone. We don't want it too dark, we don't want it too light, because we still want to maintain that kind of 3D look, okay? A 3D look, so that around the socket of the eye, around the nose bridge, which has that lovely curvature, especially on Athena's face. It's got this lovely curvature that is still maintained. Again, let's have a quick look. We do on, off curvature, just see what we've affected, and just to see how much work we've actually done. At the moment it's frozen. Hold on, it's not spinning. Why it's not spinning? It's not rotating, but hey, let's keep going. So around the cheeks as well, still see there's a little harsh, it's a bit dark and it's not as smooth as I'd like. So I want to just really work on those cheeks as well, because the cheeks create the dimension of the face as well. So again, once I've looked at one side, I've swapped back over to the other, and literally it's just to keep my eyes fresh. That's why I move around quite a lot. I don't stick in one location, because I'm always kind of trying to keep myself awake sometimes. Sometimes I do fall asleep. I don't know. But I've fallen asleep many times with the Apple Pencil in my hand, editing someone's face, and literally, seriously, and I've had to just go back into history and go and revert back. So this is a way for me, especially when I'm working quite late, to help me stay awake. I constantly move. I'm constantly moving the screen to find the next blemish and jumping from one side to another. So excuse the constant movement. It's just my way of working. And understand, you don't have to spend this long editing. Again, just get to a point where you're happy. Obviously, I've got my style, you've got your style, or you're developing your style, and it's all about being authentic to who you are, your brand, your style. You got to find your comfort zone, your level of creativity, and there's certain areas on the face that I need to edit in order for it to have my stamp. And there's certain ways of my editing that separates me from other photographers. But it's not just the retouching. You understand, it starts from the very photo shoot itself. So the way I shoot, down to the way I communicate with my model, because I know exactly what I'm trying to get and I need them to be in a certain way in order to achieve it. So from the photo shoot, communication with the model, to the post-production, the editing, there's a way, or should I say a process, or a method to my madness that helps me to achieve the consistent look that I'm looking for when I'm photographing or hired for work or for a booking. And here we are at this time where we add color, and we're going to go to LUTs. I've got a pre-made LUT that I always tend to use. It's an urban tone, which is really good for darker skin, or if you're looking for that urban kind of look. I will do a separate tutorial on how to create your LUTs. And LUTs are great because you can actually export it and you can add it to your video. So for instance, if you did a shoot, say for instance I did a shoot with, I've done a shoot with Athena. If I had any behind the scenes images that I've taken on my camera, I can add that LUT onto that video, and so you can have a cohesive way of presenting your work from behind the scenes to the final shoot, or the final look, should I say. However, I like to show the difference, so I just shoot the raw colors as it is. So I film the raw colors and then I show the outcome, because I like to show my audience that, you know, there has been effort in the retouching process, and you can see the difference through color in such a major way. So LUTs are brilliant. Do experiment with it. Like I said, I'll do a tutorial for it. And as you can see, after I've added my LUT, I sound like I'm saying luck, but I've added my LUT. You can see I've gone back to the dodge and burn. What should I say? The dodge, because I don't use the burn. But you can see I've gone back to my curves tool, the non-destructive curve tool, and I'm just making those minor retouches, because once you put the LUT on top, you start to see things in a different light. So it's always good to go in there and rectify the small problems, especially when you've got this kind of tone and this kind of color. Especially on darker skin, it will show up a bit more. So yeah, dive back in there, make sure it's right before you finish your work, make sure you're happy with it, make sure that you've achieved what you want to achieve. And like I said, it's take your time and enjoy the process. And believe me, when you zoom in at this percentage, you're talking about looking at the minor details, and they do show up. Even though you're covering a small area, when you zoom out and you turn on and off the curves tool, or the dodge and burn tool, if you're using that tool, you'll see the difference. Again, it's just really working on those smaller details. Again, you've got to think about it literally. How much retouching do you actually need? If it's going to be used for social media, then you don't have to over-retouch. I find that when you over-retouch things on social media, and it's for social media, then when it's reduced to that scale, it just looks fake. It looks too smooth. If it's for print, then you spend all that time retouching it, retouching the skin, etc. Because it's used for print, it's going to be on a larger format. So you need to really engage in how much retouching you actually need, because some retouching will be lost. I don't tend to do, if I'm shooting, or when I shoot full body or 3/4 length, I tend not to do as much retouching on the skin. But when it's a headshot, I do a lot more, because it's going to show a lot more detail. So you want to think about that as well. What is it being used for? What's the format size, etc. And that will determine how much retouch you actually need. Is it a close-up, or is it full body? Is it 3/4 length? That also determines how much retouching you need to do on the skin. So think about it when you're taking time to retouch. You don't want to spend all your time retouching, because it is a long process. It can be a long process. Like I said, I know some retouchers who spend hours and hours on their retouching. I don't think it's necessary for me personally, because unless it's beauty. If it's beauty, they want that flawless skin. But because I'm doing portraits, it's got to be authentic to the person. How many times have I used authentic in this video? If you can, let me know in the chat below, because like I said, it's probably the first time I think it is the first time I'm using my voice for this YouTube channel. So yeah, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And do let me know also if there's anything that you want to learn, any videos that you want me to produce, so that I can meet your expectations, because I love doing this, and I love sharing my creative knowledge. And so just communicate, let me know. But anyway, going back to the video, going back to what I'm doing, the retouching session, again, check it out, see the difference. Turn on your curves tool, turn it off, which is really your dodge and burn, and your dodge tool, my dodge tool. And then what I'm going to do is going to add another layer. And the reason why I'm adding another layer, because I want to start focusing on the eyes of the window to the soul. And you want to bring that out in your portraits, because that will help your audience engage. So I've created another curve tool. I've used the same kind of dodge and burn curve tool, but all I've done is I've increased the opacity, and I am just painting that on. It's a very simple way of doing it. There are other ways of doing it, so I will do a tutorial for that too, just to help you along, so you guys can choose, pick your poison, so to speak. And so literally this is the easiest way. You just paint it on. You paint the highlights. You paint the tear ducts as well. You add a bit of light to there, and it really just allows the eyes just to come alive that little bit more. Especially when you're photographing, when you photograph, make sure you get those catch lights, lovely catch lights in the eyes. Try not to add any artificial light to the eyes. I've seen some photographers where they add light through these retouching tools. Don't do that. Best that you get your shot authentically. There's that word again. Get your shot. Get the catch lights in the eyes from your shoot, whether it's in the studio, whether it's outdoors. You can capture beautiful catch lights. So I'll show you. I'll do another tutorial one time where we look at using natural light to bring those beautiful catch lights in the eyes. Anyway, moving on. So again, I'm still looking at these small minor details, because I am quite anal when it comes to this part, because you want to just get it right. And I've just noticed something, because I need to get rid of it. Again, some models I find that they want to keep these minor details. I've worked with Athena before, and she's been happy with me just removing certain things, just to make it, because she's happy with the way I work and the style I work. So check with your model, and make the changes if necessary. Again, I'm doing these minor retouching areas where really it's not going to be affected when it's on social media, but I like to have it clean, and you never know when the model's going to use it as when the model modeling cards or calling cards or whatnot, and for casting. So I'm just getting rid of those details, because I do, like I said, I enjoy the process, so why not, right? But in reality, if you're using it for Instagram, not necessary, because no one's going to zoom in on Instagram. They're just going to, kind of look at it and swipe past, maybe like it. But anyway, we're coming to that. Yeah, imagine you spend all this time retouching, and then someone just sees it on Instagram and just swipes away. Anyway, we're coming closer to the end of it. I'm thinking this is looking really great. Look at the skin. It looks beautiful with the colors, the tones. I'm just going to glance over, just to have another quick look, to make sure that I'm happy with it. And this thing is sticking out slightly. Well, I don't want to do anything about it. Again, it's totally up to you. It's not necessary, to be honest. But like I said, I like the process. So I always try to get rid of the things that really stand out and that irritate me. One way. Yeah. See, I'm not learning. You gotta press remember to choose the layer below. Okay, that's something that sometimes happens, especially when I'm tired. Remember, if something's not working, just look at your settings. It's looking pretty decent. So we're coming to the end. I like it. I hope you do too. I hope you've learned something from this channel. I am going to be doing a lot more voiceovers to go with the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ask questions below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.